The stream of mourners heading for Westminster Hall stretched to 5 miles yesterday, alongside the River Thames to Southwark Park in southeast London. The official queue got so full that a new queue for the main queue had to be created. Image, Getty. The line of well-wishers, now visible from space, may now be closed up to 24 hours before the lying-in state ends at 6:30 a.m. on Monday prior to the monarch's state funeral. Tens of thousands of people packed a 3-mile zigzag in the Bermonds venue, and by 9:50 a.m. officials announced it would close and asked people to stay away for 6 hours until at least 4 p.m. But still they came. Around 50 people every minute continued to arrive until the park was shut to new entrants at 11:35 a.m. A queue to join what has been dubbed the queue immediately formed as people begged to be admitted for what was then a 14-hour wait. Those lucky to be in the park itself entered a series of pens and were ushered through 3 zones, typically taking 3 hours to cross. The massed thousands stood patiently in dappled sunlight beneath the park's famous plane tree canopy. A chilling breeze cut through, but people seemed ready for anything, and most were sensibly attired with water and picnic bag supplies. Spontaneous cheering broke out every time the marshals called forward the next group of around 100 people from the head of Zone 1 and escorted them across the busy Jamaica Road and towards the ancient river. They snaked through the back streets of Bermonds to the Thames, where people were soon greeted with magnificent views of Tower Bridge and a sobering realization of just how far they had yet to go. They included retired naval officer Sally Blackett, 64, proudly displaying a Union flag from her rucksack, in which she was carrying pictures of most of her family to take them with her to see the late monarch. Almost her entire family has served in the Royal Navy, over 4 generations of continuous service since 1924. Her father, husband, brother, father-in-law and grandfather-in-law were all officers, and her son is currently serving as a commander. Sally from Midhurst, West Sussex, had arrived just before 9 a.m. and by 4 p.m. had got as far as London Bridge. She recalled when husband Jeff, 67, a retired Commodore and lawyer, was invited to lunch with the Queen and Prince Philip while serving as Judge Advocate General. Sally said, that was the highlight of his career. After lunch the Queen asked if her guests minded if she fed her dogs. Some dog biscuits came on a silver salver and the Queen dispensed them to the dogs. Then they were to take coffee in another room. My husband walked alongside the Queen. Mourner Sally took pictures of her family to see the Queen by proxy. Image, Tim Mary. She had 2 or 3 corgis, and as she turned to enter the coffee room she said to them, "Along you go." The dogs obediently walked straight on in line astern to a different room. My husband was impressed and complimented Her Majesty on her command. The Queen paused, then laid a hand on his arm, looked him in the eye and said, "Well, I am the Queen, you know." Sally added, "With so many naval officers in the family, the Queen was the boss to all of us. I've brought pictures of my family as I will feel we have all paid our respects." RAF veteran Peter Berry MBE, 74, caught the 6:37 a.m. train service from Dorchester, Dorset, and entered the park at 9:50 a.m. He was not expecting to reach Westminster Hall until after midnight. The retired squadron leader, who served for 34 years, was awarded the MBE for his service in Kosovo and was presented with the honour by the Queen at Buckingham Palace. Asked if he was daunted by the 14-hour wait, he replied, "Not a bit. The Queen was the commander-in-chief. During my career we quite often went for days without sleep to get the job done, so it's just using that mindset once again." Retired Police Chief Superintendent Chris Rawlings, 60, travelled from Leicester to represent his family of 6 children and 6 grandchildren. He said, "I swore an oath of allegiance to the Crown and served for 31 years, so it is important to me. It's a lovely atmosphere, I've made friends all around. Mourner Rawlings did his duty one last time for the Queen. Image, Tim Mary. Sophie Pinks, 37, and her dad Bob, 66, travelled from Rugby, Warwick's, to join the queue at 8:55 a.m. Mum of two Sophie, a local government officer, said, "I'm proud of our royal family and this is just about respect really. The Queen did so much for our country that it was important for me and my dad to thank her." Nitin Pandit, 67, typified the friendships forming across the queue. He travelled alone from Carshalton, Surrey, but by the time he stepped off the train to London had become acquainted with Hina Patel, 40 and Elizabeth Stacey Matusevska, 45, and they agreed to queue together. Nitin said, "My parents married in Nairobi in Kenya in 1952 when the then Princess Elizabeth was on an official visit to the country. It was then that King George VI died and she became Queen. I came to this country and feel a bond with Her Majesty because of this memory. Like everyone here, the hours in the queue are not as important as being able to say goodbye." Not everyone was happy with the queuing process. Tired and hungry mourners, who waited through the night, found the 2-hour wait at the final zigzag at Victoria Tower Gardens too much after waiting 10 to 14 hours. One, who did not want to be named, said, "Once in this area, there was nowhere to buy water and no toilets. People were dropping like flies, literally dropping to their knees." Mourner Pandit moved to the UK and felt a connection to Her Majesty. Image, Tim Mary.